Before the first engine roared on the dusty runways of Tuskegee Army Air Field in Alabama, before World War II had engulfed the globe in unprecedented chaos and destruction, and long before any bombs fell on American soil, a different war was quietly raging within the United States itself. A war not fought with bullets or bombs but with prejudice, systemic racism, and entrenched policies that openly doubted the capabilities of black Americans to serve, lead, or even survive in combat, as the U.S. Army Air Forces, in reports, correspondence, and official memoranda, repeatedly argued that African Americans lacked the intelligence, courage, discipline, and emotional fortitude necessary to fly aircraft in battle, and it was within this climate of suspicion, bias, and institutionalized oppression that the Tuskegee Airmen program was conceived, not as a genuine opportunity to allow black Americans to prove themselves, but as a controlled experiment many expected to fail, designed to confirm a long-held prejudice, and yet thousands of young men across the United States, fully aware that their success or failure would not merely reflect on themselves but on the perception of an entire race, stepped forward, volunteering to risk their lives in an era where both the enemy abroad and the system at home questioned their worth, fully understanding that one mistake could be magnified to justify decades of discrimination. At Tuskegee Army Air Field, their training was deliberately harsher, with outdated aircraft, limited flight hours, scarce resources, stricter discipline, and the constant observation of instructors who openly doubted them, creating an environment where failure was expected. Yet instead of breaking their spirit, these conditions forged extraordinary resilience, unity, and an unbreakable sense of purpose, teaching them that excellence, precision, and unyielding dedication were not only survival tools in the air but weapons against the systemic injustice they faced on the ground. When deployed overseas to North Africa, and later Italy, they entered some of the most lethal theaters of the war, where German fighter aces dominated the skies, anti-aircraft fire shredded bomber formations, and casualty rates for escort missions were horrifyingly high. Yet the Tuskegee Airmen embraced the most dangerous assignments with discipline, flying P-40 Warhawks, P-47 Thunderbolts, and later the iconic red-tailed P-51 Mustangs, escorting B-17 and B-24 bombers on missions so perilous that survival was never guaranteed, navigating flak-filled skies, unpredictable weather, and enemy pilots who had years of experience and a reputation for ruthlessness, adhering strictly to the doctrine of protecting bombers over personal glory, refusing to chase enemy fighters unless it meant protecting the formation, and over time, bomber crews began to notice the extraordinary results, as missions escorted by the Red Tails consistently returned with fewer losses, and soon they were requested by name, earning the trust, admiration, and reliance of Allied airmen across Europe. Throughout thousands of sorties, they destroyed enemy aircraft, strafed trains, supply depots, fuel lines, and railroads, while continuously risking their lives in missions that required not only skill but unwavering focus and courage under fire. And yet, even as their reputation in combat soared, every victory in the air was contrasted by humiliation on the ground. Returning to segregated bases, denied entry to offices, clubs, promotions, or proper recognition, and in some cases arrested simply for demanding basic dignity, confronting a country that questioned their loyalty while risking their lives defending it, a bitter paradox that defined their service and magnified the significance of every single accomplishment, making each aerial victory not just a military success but a statement against prejudice and systemic oppression. Over the course of the war, the Tuskegee Airmen flew more than 15,000 combat sorties, destroyed countless enemy aircraft, trains, fuel depots, and infrastructure, earning hundreds of medals including Distinguished Flying Crosses, Bronze Stars, Air Medals, and Purple Hearts. Their performance so undeniable that it forced the military and political leaders to confront the untenable lie that segregation was based on merit rather than fear. And ultimately their achievements played a decisive role in President Harry Truman's 1948 Executive Order 9981, which officially desegregated the U.S. Armed Forces, permanently altering the trajectory of American military history and civil rights. Yet even after the war, recognition was delayed, with their story minimized, overshadowed, or ignored for decades, as myths and white-dominated narratives dominated the public imagination, and only in later years has the world fully appreciated that the Tuskegee Airmen were far more than pilots. They were pioneers, role models, and living proof that courage, discipline, resilience, and excellence could overcome the most entrenched prejudice, fighting two simultaneous wars, one against fascism abroad and one against racism at home, and emerging victorious in both. The red-tailed Mustangs they flew became more than aircraft. They became symbols of hope, protection, resistance, and the triumph of the human spirit over oppression, inspiring generations to come, reminding the world that heroism cannot be measured by color, that greatness cannot be constrained by bias, and that the most powerful battles in history are often those fought not with guns, bombs, or aircraft, but with integrity, perseverance, courage, and an unwavering refusal to accept the limitations imposed by a society blind to their potential, leaving a legacy so vast, so detailed, and so emotionally resonant that it can fill not just an hour of video, but countless retellings, documentaries, books, and discussions. And when we see the red tails soaring across the skies in history, commemorations, and reenactments today, we are witnessing the enduring spirit of a generation that faced death at every turn, injustice at every step, and still soared to greatness, a story of bravery, determination, sacrifice, and moral triumph that continues to inspire millions around the world and proves that the fight for justice, equality, and excellence is timeless, universal, and everlasting.